for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens. Le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida Tibi. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro, the Sick Podcast, as we usually do on Wednesdays with Craig Button. This podcast today is pre-recorded. Actually, tonight, you're going to be watching it at 10 p.m. Eastern, but at around 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So we were set to meet, of course, for Habs Trivia Night with Quizmaster Brian at La Belle La Boeuf on Avenue des Canadiens de Montréal. So we'll talk to you about that tomorrow. And tomorrow, of course, when we're going to be back tomorrow, it's going to be immediately following the game between Canada and the United States at the Four Nations Faceoff. And my guest will be Pierre Maguire. The Sick Podcast is brought to you in part by Souvlaki Authentique, family-operated Greek restaurant with 7 locations. Le Chine, Boisbriand, Pierrefonds. Craig and I have been there before. They use fresh Quebec chicken. They use fresh Quebec pork. They're both hand-cut, marinated in-house. Their gyro is hand-stacked, never frozen in-house. No MSG in any of the recipes. Greek potatoes, not your Yaya's Greek potatoes. These have a unique lemon sauce. And Betway. Go all the way with Betway and get a free bet up to $200. If your first bet loses, scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account. Redeem your welcome offer. Offers only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offer is not available in Ontario. Must be 18 years of age and older. And please, please play responsibly. Without further ado, let's bring him in. TSN, Director of Scouting, their hockey analyst, Craig Button. How are you?
I'm really good, Tony. How are you keeping? How's all the snow in Montreal?
75 centimeters we got.
Oh, I know. I was planning on coming in there on the weekend
to
watch Rwanda play in Blainville, and then go up to Gatineau. But with all the weather, flight delays, everything, I just said I'm going to save that.
Yeah.
Later in I think I told you I was going to be in Montreal.
You did, yes.
I'm coming back in later on in March, so I'll see you in March.
I hope to see you in March. Yes,
you'll see me.
On my street, it looks like there's a bunch of igloos everywhere. Like you just cannot maneuver at all. It's unbelievable. And, the city, I guess they're trying their best with the snow removal and stuff like that. But right now, you just cannot maneuver. You cannot park. It is pretty bad. But there's always worse in life. So let's count our blessings for what we have. All right. Okay. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Four Nations tourney, but if we can, I'd like to start with the Montreal Canadiens because the Canadiens got back at practice yesterday. So I want to set the table for what happened here. Anthony Martineau of TVA Sports, who's a young man, a young reporter that I like very much. I think he's very, very good at what he does, and I think he's got a really, really high ceiling. He gets players to open up and say quite a few things. He's got a pretty good relationship with Juraj Slafkovsky. So yesterday after practice, he pulls him aside. He says, Juraj, can I talk to you? He says, yeah. He says, I'm wondering, do you watch Canada USA? And you saw the scraps at the beginning. He goes, oh yeah, of course I watched it. He says, I was on vacation and I was drinking a cocktail while I was watching it, but I was definitely watching it. Juraj says to him, he says, oh yeah. He says, you know what, Juraj, well, your size of about 6'4", 230, and Brady Tkachuk with a similar size, and the fact that you're both, wingers and left shots and all that stuff, don't you think that he could probably be a player that you can maybe model your game after? So Juraj looks at Anthony Martineau of TVA Sports, and he cracks a smile, and he says, Anthony, it's funny. I just got out of a meeting with Adam Nicholas of our development team, and Adam was just showing me videos, clips of Brady Tkachuk. And he told me, Juraj, if you want to have success in the National Hockey League, This is the way you need to play. I had Anthony on my radio show earlier this morning on BPM Sports. We had a really interesting conversation about whether or not Brady Tkachuk should be a comparable for Juraj Slafkovsky. I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
How come it's only coming up now? Just curious. Well, why now?
2.5 years into his NHL career.
Well, I mean, people have watched it for a long time. Why? Because of what happened on Saturday night? So we're going to take one game and say Juraj Slafkovsky. I've said this for a long time watching Juraj Slafkovsky play. Juraj Slafkovsky is a big man that can carve out space, create space for himself, use his size to be able to get that space, hold that space, push players out of their space and everything. Like, Brady Tkachuk's unique. Juraj Slafkovsky's unique. They're different types of players. I don't know why. You know what you want to do is you're right. Don't open up your stick to the middle of the ice. Make sure that you use your body to be between the puck and your opponent. And that way you're going to be able to hold the puck and be strong. I think Juraj's such a hard worker, and he's so dedicated, and he takes in all this information to try to beat. And I think as he's learning and growing and maturing, you want to take different parts of a player's game. Well, I can be like that. But if I was anybody, and I'm talking to Juraj Slafkovsky, I'm saying, watch how Brady and Matthew Tkachuk maneuver around the net. Watch how they play from the goal line to the net. Watch how they pull the puck from below the goal line into the front of the net area. He should be like Brady Tkachuk. What have you told me? Tony, stop and think about it. Yeah. And I'm not here to criticize anybody. What have you told me? He should be like Brady Tkachuk? No. What elements of Brady Tkachuk's game can Juraj Slafkovsky take and establish them as part of his? Oh, yeah, just like Rantanen. Just like other players, he was going to shoot the puck. So he was going to be like Rantanen. Now he's going to be like Brady Tkachuk. Like, you want players to round out their game. You want players to build their game and develop their game. But take parts of it. And like, if I'm telling you, I want you to establish by using your size, how you turn your body, how you make opponents have to come through your body. They can't get to the puck, how you bring the puck to the net, how you play below the goal line, how quickly you move a puck and then get to the next spot where they can't defend against you because you're big and you're quick. That's what I'm telling them. To say play like Brady Tkachuk, like, what does it mean?
Well, this is awesome because once again, this is what Slav told Anthony, and maybe Adam Nicholas was very good at what he does. Maybe he was showing Slav certain things that Brady does that he thinks that Slav should do. And so it was an interesting conversation I had with Anthony because I said to Anthony, I said, listen, Anthony, I said, I understand wanting to show Brady clips because they're both 6'4", they're both 230, they both shoot left, they're both wingers, yada, yada, yada. I can understand that part of it. But I said to Anthony, I said, I could be wrong. Uri could get mad every now and then, but Brady Tkachuk is one mean hombre. I have a feeling Brady is mean 24 hours a day. And I have a feeling that Uri's personality is very, very much different than Brady. So I don't know if they just took out certain sequences or if they actually told him, we want you to be Brady. But if they want him to be Brady, I don't think you can become Brady. I almost think you're born Brady. You know what I mean? I think you have to have that in you, Craig. Don't you? Having a hard time hearing you, Craig. That's okay. Take your time. We'll take Craig Button will take his time and he'll get this technical issue fixed. And in the meantime, it'll give me an opportunity to talk to you about Bittt Tibi. They launched their new Ultra Lager. Look at the fridge behind me, a refreshing, thirst-quenching beer. Perfect for chilly winter days with only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, 4% ABV per can, available in a pack of 6 and 12 in grocery stores all around the province of Quebec. It's ultra light, ultra refreshing. Let's see if we got Craig Button again. I don't hear you, Craig. We don't hear Craig. Once again, we're going to get it fixed. It'll
my mute button by accident.
All right. Okay, don't worry about it. We got you now. Okay, perfect. So where I left off was, can you become Brady? Because I have a feeling you have to be born that way. You have to have it in you.
Well, again, like that's why I say about what elements of your game. If you ask me, if I'm talking to Juraj Slafkovsky, I would ask him to play more like Matthew Tkachuk than Brady Tkachuk. Matthew uses that big body. He leans in. He pulls the puck. He can make plays. He can shoot the puck. And he's Matthew Tkachuk's a much better offensive player than Brady Tkachuk. Now, Brady might have a little bit of that meanness, that little bit more of an edge. But to me, Matthew's that body guy that gets in your way, that leans on you, that carves out that space. That's what I would be telling.
I like that.
I would be using Matthew Tkachuk and saying, play like this. Play like in these areas. Remember what I just said? Pull the puck from below the goal line. How you establish your presence at the net. How you keep your stick open. Those types of things. Remember last year when he was shooting the puck and scoring and people were saying, oh, yeah, he can be like Rantanen. Okay, well, Rantanen has a unique skills. You take pieces and you say, okay, here's the foundation of my game. So Juraj's competitive. He's big. He can skate. He can lean in. He is so much still in development phase. He is still developing, Tony. And and Brady Tkachuk, when he was this age, wasn't what Brady Tkachuk is now.
No.
Let's be clear here. So you know, like, and Juraj's learning and he's growing and he's figuring out the game. You know, he established himself in the last half of the year as somebody that should be reckoned with as a force. Well, he's had some growing pains again this year. Not something that anybody should be surprised about, because you know your development path is not always straight upward. Sometimes there's a little detour. Sometimes you talk about traversing. Sometimes the development path you have to traverse a little bit and then take that elevated step. I'm not worried about Juraj Slafkovsky, and again, why now? And maybe they've been talking about it being like Brady Tkachuk. This is the first time I've heard it.
I think Juraj's ceiling, his potential in regards to passing the puck and seeing the game going forward is superior to Brady's. Whether or not he's going to be able to reach that ceiling or that potential, that remains to be seen. I really like what you're saying here. By the way, Juraj told Anthony that, you know what, I like Brady Tkachuk, and you know what, I like that comparison, and I think I can play like him. But I really like what you're saying, you know what, the comparison should probably be Matthew Tkachuk and not Brady, because Matthew's skill set a little bit higher than Brady's, and I think the Canadiens got to aim a little bit higher. As good as Brady is, I think that would be selling short Juraj, and that would mean making him do things that probably, once again, are not in him.
So Tommy Wilson goes out and plays, and somebody comes out, well, Juraj, you should be like Tommy Wilson. Again, Tommy's a really good skater. He uses this, but it's different. I did this just on the California trip, and whatever the date was, and then it's more than that now. But in 82 games from last end of January into that February trip into California, Juraj Slafkovsky had played 82 games. I took an 82 game stretch. He had 60 points in that 82 game stretch.
That's unbelievable.
What? Just celebrate it. In an 82 game stretch, he had 60 points, and I believe 16 of his goals were at even strength. Juraj is moving in the right direction, and sometimes we want that to. Oh God, look at how much he took off last year. He should take another step like that. He is doing good things.
On that note, Marty St. on modeling his game after Brady Tkachuk, this en français earlier today.
Oui, c'est quelque chose qu'on parle beaucoup. Puis tout jeune joueur, surtout un jeune joueur comme Slav qui a beaucoup de talent, repêché premier overall, c'est de vraiment comprendre c'est quoi ses atouts qui peuvent l'aider à développer son identité dans la Ligue nationale. Puis moi, avec Slav, ça part beaucoup avec son côté physique, ses pieds. Il a assez de skill, il a une bonne tête. Fait qu'il y a beaucoup de... Il y a les éléments qu'un Brady Tkachuk peut amener. Fait que c'est quelque chose qu'on parle beaucoup avec Slav, puis on va continuer.
So Marty says there are elements in Slav's game and tools in his toolbox that can allow him to do some of the things that Brady does. I think that's what you were talking about.
Well, I mean, great minds think alike, right?
There you
So,
go.
Tony, I'll put you into the group with Marty and me. All kidding aside, you and Marty should be in that group. I'm just a follower, but I'm going to follow Marty right on that one.
Yeah, no, and I think that's what you're getting at, right? Don't make him become Brady Tkachuk. He won't be Brady Tkachuk. Take some things that Brady does well, that Slav will be able to do, and will give him success. And that's what you look at. And then take a little bit of Matthew, take a look, a little bit of Ranta, take a look at somebody else. And then all of a sudden, when you take a little bit of everyone of what you can do, when you put it all together, it should make for a very good Juraj Slafkovsky. But the question remains to be asked. That remains to be asked is he just traditionally a slow starter? Is he just 20 years old? There are a lot of ups and downs in Juraj's game since he entered the National Hockey League. I know one thing. I know you thought that he shouldn't have started in the National Hockey League at 18 years of age, right? Correct me if I think you've said that before.
I was very vocal about that.
So I'm going to tell you this. There's no way of knowing if you were right. There's no way of knowing if you were wrong. It's your opinion, and whether you're right or wrong, who knows? Because we can understand their point of view that he picked up 50 points last year. Only 2 players in Montreal Canadiens history under the age of 20 years old had a season of 20-plus goals, 30-plus assists, 50-plus points. The late Guy Lafleur and Juraj Slafkovsky. We can understand their reasoning, and I can understand your reasoning. Now, we'll never know. And the Canadiens could not send them down to Laval because even if they wanted to, he would have to clear waivers. He'd get picked up. Never going to happen. But I'm going to say this. Even though we'll never know the answer, one scout once told me an extra year of junior or an extra year of American Hockey League never hurt anybody. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I take a look, and I've said this before, at Cooley, who did an extra year of college hockey. And I take a look at Shane Wright, who went back to junior and played 67 games at the American Hockey League level. With all due respect to Uri, 1 year ago, Uri was a better hockey player than those 2 players. 1 year later, and this can change every day and every month, right? 1 year later, on this February 19, I think those 2 hockey players right now are ahead of Uri. With that said, and we'll never know the answer to this, I do believe he probably should have played the first year in the AHL. But we'll never know the answer.
Yeah, you're right about that. And again, it comes down to philosophy, and NHL teams are looking at it and going, well, we have him under our umbrella. We have him with our people. Maybe he's not producing, but he's working in other areas of the game, and we're helping him do that. So I get all that. But I think for young players, confidence, you're a number 1 overall pick. And there's all kinds of expectations when you're a number 1 overall pick. And now you're playing against the best players on the planet that in a lot of cases are 7, 8, 9, 10 years older than you. And you need a level of confidence to step in to the National Hockey League and be able to perform. Let alone, I don't care who you are, but as the first overall pick, when all eyes are on you, that has to happen. So I can agree with the premise about underneath your umbrella. I can also disagree and feel that it's better for a player to build on that confidence. I thought Kotkaniemi belonged back in Finland after he was drafted, but no, they put him in at 18. So we can look at Kotkaniemi and go, well, is that an example of maybe they put him in too soon? We can look at Slafkovsky and go, well, maybe it would have benefited him. All I know is I'm a believer.
Galchenyuk started too soon too.
Yeah, I'm a believer in having the players dominate the level they're at before they move to the next level. Logan Cooley dominated his college level. So to me, he was ready to move on. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see a player with promise and potential that hasn't been able to realize that within his age group, within a certain level before he leaves. Michael Matheson was thinking about leaving school after his sophomore year at Boston College.
Mm-hmm.
And I played junior hockey with his dad, Rod. And, Michael in Florida was saying, go and play. And at the end of it, Michael hadn't dominated college hockey. He went back for his junior year. And that junior year not only helped him with his physical maturity. It helped him with his emotional and mental maturity. So when he did turn pro, he was ready. It's not about ready to handle the challenges. Sometimes it's ready to handle the ups and the downs, how to navigate through them, don't get down on yourself, everything that goes with it. Marty St. Louis, I would implore you to ask Marty St. Louis this question one time. Marty St. Louis was a top player in Midget-Trois, in Hawkesbury, at the University of Vermont, in the American Hockey League. And yet he still had a little bit of doubts about himself. He thought he could do it at the National League level. And ask him what Mike Johnson told him in Tampa Bay. He said, just go tell Steve Ludzik, give me a chance. If I can't do it after so many games, you can do whatever you want. Just give me a chance. So it's what was Marty at that point in time? 25 years old, 26 years old. So look how long it took Marty to say, give me the chance. And we know Marty's assertive. And once he was given the chance, he showed that he was more than deserving of everything he got, right?
Yeah.
But again, that's the emotional maturity. Oh, I don't want to rock the boat. And you can ask Marty, or you can ask Mike Johnson next time you see him in Montreal. He told me, go in there and tell him.
Four Nations Faceoff, by the way. We're going to talk about it in a little bit later on in the podcast. But Matthew Tkachuk and Austin Matthews practiced today. Brady Tkachuk did not practice today, but they will all play for Team USA on Thursday night. Yesterday with Eric Engels, at the time of the recording, we talked to you about the possibility of Quinn Hughes joining the team. At the time of this recording, he is still in Vancouver, and we'll see what happens. I think the Vancouver Canucks are saying, hold on a second, you need to be cleared by our doctors first before you go anywhere. And so once again, that could change by the time we're actually saying this and by the time it actually airs live. But Charlie McAvoy, defenseman Charlie McAvoy, has been ruled out. Saturday night had the makings of a great game, and I thought it was a very good game. I don't think it was one of the best games of all time, as some people went on social media and said. I think those are people that just love fights. There were 3 fights in 9 seconds, so it automatically became one of the best games of all time. But it was a very good game. I thought that was a very, very good hockey game. We saw what the Tkachuks did. Matthew Tkachuk started it off fighting Brandon Hagel, Brady Tkachuk right after that with Sam Bennett, and JT Miller right after that with Colton Parayko. Brady Tkachuk said after the game, they were in on a group chat and they wanted to get their team going, and they said that they were going to try and do something like this. And Canada said, okay, you want to do that? We'll do it. We'll dance with you. And they danced. Arbor Jacki was asked earlier today about fighting still in the game because, Craig, there were about 20,000 people that were standing up on Saturday night in the first 10 seconds of the game. Let's hear from Arbor Jacki.
Anyone watching that game can tell you and how exciting that was and how ready they got. Like, everyone's out of their seats, and I think as a player, like, you just want to run through a wall when you see stuff like that and play for your guys that are doing that. So I think it still has a place. Yeah.
Do you feel that there's might be concern to the message it sends to kids in youth hockey that they're going to copy that when they're too young, or do you think it's managed well enough that it doesn't really happen until
I think it's
junior?
Yeah, it's definitely managed. Like, you have cages and stuff, and I mean, it shows kids that you still got to play hard, and I think hockey, like, fighting is getting back into hockey more than slipping away. So, yeah, I think it still has a big place in the game, and it helps a lot.
So, fighting used to be very, very prevalent in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and 2000. And then over the years, a little bit less and a little bit less and a little bit less. And then they started to implement penalties and for instigating a fight and all that stuff and ejections. And we started to find out that about CTE, and we started to hear about players who just said that, you know what, after a long career of fighting, they turned to alcohol or they turned to drugs or they turned to painkillers. And very unfortunately, we tragically lost some lives along the way. Arbor Jacki says fighting is closer to coming back than it is to slipping away. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I totally disagree. I mean, the numbers tell you clearly that fighting has diminished in a big way. Quebec Maritimes Junior Hockey League, fighting isn't allowed. You're ejected from the game. And if you fight again, then there's a suspension there. Same thing happens in the Ontario Hockey League, like in terms of fighting. The way the rules have been implemented since 2004, 2005 lockout, when the NHL returned in 05, 06, there was a real change in how the rules were enforced and what the standards were, and that went to hits to the head, all kinds of different things that were part of the game. So why don't we just go rewind here and look at all the kids now? Okay, so I'll go back to McDavid because he was born in 1997, as was Matthew Tkachuk. It's a little bit different with Matthew that, but they were born in 1997. So in 2004, they're 7 years old. Well, now the whole game changes in terms of the rule enforcement, the standards, and what was going to be called. Now, 98, 99, 2000, 2001 borns, they don't know that game. I'll tell you a quick story. Jerome McGinley's Hall of Fame, he had a dinner celebration, and I was there. And I was talking to Dion Phaneuf. And Dion Phaneuf was born in 1985. And he said, we were chatting. He goes, no, the game. He was much like Arbor. He said, the game. Oh, no, they still need it. It's all still a big part of the game, on and on and on. And I said, Dion, you were born in 1985. So in 1992, when you were 7, it was still a big part of the game. Now, in 2000, when you were 15, still a big part of the game. Now you're playing junior hockey in the Western League. You're playing for Brent Sutter. It was a big part of the game. And that's the game you knew. And I said, and you were a young player in 05, 06. You were a rookie. And he came into the league, and you still had all those elements that you grew up with. I said, but today's players don't have that. He goes, no, it's not that. I said, listen, Dion, I got to go and talk to Jerome's son, Teach. Go and tell him the same thing you told me, and come back and tell me what he says. Dion comes back about an hour later, goes, you're right. He goes, he had no idea what I was talking about. And that's where our game is at now. And listen, there's going to be spontaneous combustion. And, people say, why doesn't Gary Bettman just rule out just eliminate hockey? Well, it's diminished. It's diminished to the point now where it's not a big thing. Let me ask you this. If fighting is such a big part of the game, how come nobody went and fought Charlie McAvoy after he hit Connor McDavid the other night? Right? I mean, that was a thunderous hit.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't anybody on Canada go and fight Charlie McAvoy?
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Curious.
So I think basically what happened was mapped out in advance, and they clearly admitted it, right? And that's
that's exactly what happened.
Now, my question to you is, do you think that the United States showed their hand maybe too early? Does that at all make sense to you that they probably should have played this card in game 2? But then again, I know what they're thinking. They're thinking, we don't know if there's going to get to a game 2 between us and Canada. We got to go out and win this game 1.
Yeah, I think you know what, the comments you heard after the game, this was Brady Tkachuk said it was the biggest game I've ever played in. USA players saying, yeah, we showed we can play with them. We had to show that we could stand up to them. Let me tell you this. In 2002, the players that played on that Olympic team, McDonald, Guerin, Monty, all those guys, they all thought it was their time too. Remember, they won the 1996 World Cup of Hockey.
Yes,
they thought it was their time.
In Montreal, yeah.
You're right. So they thought it was their time in 2002. In 2010, in Vancouver at the Olympics, the U.S. thought it was their time too with that group of players. So here we are 15 years later, 15 years later, and now this group is saying it's our time. Love it. I love the bravado. I love the fact that you think it's your time. Your time isn't on a Saturday night in a preliminary round. You have to beat the best to show that you're worthy of being considered amongst the best. And the USA has simply not done that. They have not done it. Saturday night, I think all the pressure's on USA in the game Thursday night. Let me be clear. All the pressure.
I agree with you 1,000%. So I'll say this.
Been there, done that, won that. Been there, done that, won that. The USA's talked about winning. They've talked about it being their time. Until they win, words are just words. Your actions will speak louder than anything else.
My prediction was that Team USA was going to win the Four Nations Faceoff before this tournament started, and I based that on an advantage in goal. I thought an advantage on D, an upgrade on grittier players. I thought at the forward position, and the fact that the final would be played in the United States, and the fact that Sidney Crosby went into it a little bit banged up. Now, as we get closer to tomorrow night, I like the situation that Canada's in. Jordan Binnington has not played a great game yet. He's due for one. Canada's very good players, Crosby, McDavid, and McKinnon, all unleashed last game. So you know what? They're ready to go. Canada, if they needed any extra motivation, is what the United States, how they approached that game and the way they acted on Saturday night, and the fact that Canada lost in Canada on Saturday night. And I think all the pressure's on the United States. I'm not telling you that Canada's going to win. I'm just saying that I feel better about a Canada win now than I did before this tournament started.
I'm not going to, I agree with you. When I looked at it back in the summer, I thought the USA was positioned, whether we say they're a slight favorite or they're a slight underdog, however you want to put it, right? Nobody was underestimating Canada's ability to perform at the highest level. But the USA has got really good players, and they got a lot of the different elements of the team. One of the things, and you mentioned about Binnington. Binnington just go and play. Don't let in a weak goal, because Connor Hellebuck's too good. You can't start giving away goals to a team where their goaltender is rock solid. That's number one. Number two is Canada over the years in international competition, they understand that you have to get better as the tournament goes on. And they also rarely do they finish with their forward lines the way they started. And we saw that again on Monday. Braden Point up with McDavid. We saw John Cooper put the Tampa Bay group on the ice together versus the USA. John Cooper now has a lot of different. Reinhart ends up with Crosby, and McKinnon. So you find now like what's working, and this is a big part of tournament play. John Cooper has found some things that really work. More importantly, his players have found out what's worked. And you got one game. It's not a 7-game series. It's one game. John Cooper has to know what 9 forwards he's going to count on and what 4 or 5 defensemen he's going to count on. He knows exactly who they are. And Hagel, Cirelli, Bennett are big parts of that. Those first 2 lines. Everybody else, hey, listen, whatever ice time you get, make the most of it. I think Doughty's been really good. I would get Morrissey away from Parayko would be my 6th defenseman, limit his ice time, and go from there. Taves and McCarr have been brilliant together. And Canada right now is ramping up. I'm not so sure the U.S. is ramping up.
Yeah. You know what? I talked to Eric Engels yesterday, and it was a little bit odd. He said that he reached out to Bill Daly by email and said, Bill, okay, Thomas Harley replaced Cale Makar on Saturday night because Makar wasn't feeling too hot. So Harley plays. Is he eligible for the rest of the tournament? And he says Bill Daly answered him, yes. No restrictions. So yesterday, John Cooper tells members of the media that he was not allowed to use Thomas Harley last game versus Finland. But the day before, Bill Daly had said in an email to a member of the media that there were no restrictions on Harley. So there's some confusion here. And it almost seems like there's the lack of a little bit of clarity here. My question to you, with so many members of the media and former hockey players and hockey lifers saying this is supposed to be best on best, open it up. Whoever wants to join the team, if they want to bring in Quinn Hughes or whatever, let them do it. Love to get your thoughts on this.
So I guess the first thing is there's been some confusion with what exactly the protocols have been and what the rules have been around players. And certainly we've seen that play out here over the last few days. Now, that being said, the NHL and the NHLPA negotiate like this tournament. We talked about being a tournament that's you're working towards it. You develop it. You're trying to reintroduce best on best international play. But with it, there are protocols. The NHLPA doesn't want extra players sitting around not playing. They don't want that. So while Team Canada and Team Finland and Sweden and USA might want extra players so they can move players in and out of it. The NHLPA is going, no. And why would a player want to go there, right, and just sit around? So the Olympics, you're allowed to have 22 skaters and 3 goaltenders. I mean, they've made that rule. And you can intersperse them, and you can dress 20 skaters. So, they mitigate in-game injuries and, so you don't tax your team. You can move players in and out. But this is a different tournament. It's in the season. It's in North America. So the negotiation between the NHL and the NHLPA on what the rules were going to be is they don't want players, and you also don't want players committing and playing and then at the last minute being shuttled out for somebody else to come in. So while I understand why there could be frustration from coaches and why there could be some confusion outside of that, understand why this was put into place. That's why it's in place. Could it be a little bit clearer? Yeah, I think Bill Daly would say, we could have made it a little bit clearer and everything. And at the same time, you're also trying to say, well, geez, Canada all of a sudden now, Theodore's out. Oh, McCarr's sick. Are we going to force them to play with 5 players? Right? So, these rules that were in place, I can understand that. But that's why they were in place. The coaches want more players, not less. But do you want players? Like if I'm an NHL general manager, do I want my player rested? Or do I want my players sitting around practicing, not participating, not getting that mental rest? As a manager, I don't want that. So this was a negotiation between the PA and the NHL about the rules.
President Trump, Bill Guerin would like to see him there. We'll see whether or not he's going to be there. That should be something, huh? This is, I was talking to a buddy of mine earlier today, and he was saying, I said this, Craig. I'm loving this 4 Nations Faceoff. I totally underestimated this tournament. I thought I wasn't going to get up for it. And now, I can't get enough of it. I wish the game was right now type of thing. But I'm actually happy it's going to be tomorrow night because there's an extra day of hype and all that stuff, right? The only thing I don't like about this, and by the way, I love the point structure in this tournament. The 3 points for the regulation win, the 2 points for the win in overtime, the 1 point for the overtime loss, the nothing for the loss in regulation. I love the point structure. I've said this, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts on it. The only thing I don't like about this tournament is the timing of it. Because of everything that's transpired in the last month, politically speaking, Canada and the United States, I'm seeing on social media, and I'm trying to stay off of it as much as I can, or I'm trying to be on it less than I was before. I'm seeing a lot of tension between Americans and Canadians, and a lot of friends actually getting very, very heated up. It's it's more than a tournament. It's more than a hockey game. It seems like there's other stuff for other people on the line,
Well, I wouldn't say it's tensions just between Canada and the U.S. It's tensions everywhere. It's tensions around the world. It's tensions within the U.S. with what's unfolded here over the last number of weeks and months since the election in November. So, those tensions, those political tensions are ever present. They don't seem to be going away. I mean, we're seeing what's happening in Ukraine with Zelensky, standing up and quite frankly, the lies that are being told, by the president, that Ukraine was invaded, but they started the war. Yeah, give me a break. How stupid can you be? Bottom line is there's going to be 8,000 Canadians in the building on Thursday night. If Trump wants to be booed vigorously, go to Boston. Because I bet you there's a lot of New Englanders that voted Democrat that aren't very happy with Trump either. So I would suggest that Donald Trump doesn't like negative anything. So if you want to go there and feel some real negativity and hear some real significant booing, go there, Donald. You'll have more than enough You'll have more than enough boos. And guess what? Don't do what Fox did if you're a U.S. broadcaster and drown out the boos like Fox did during the Super Bowl. Because he got booed at the Super Bowl, too.
Yeah. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different. Also, get ready for the Spring Break Power Weeks at Playground. The cards are hot, and the vibes are chill at Playground from February 27th to March 9th with 12 exciting events and a cool $400,000 in guarantees. So get ready to stack your chips and soak up the action. This break is no bluff. Visit playground.ca for details. All right. I want to start the podcast the way I ended it with the Montreal Canadiens. Lane Hutson, let's hear from you.
Not really. I went to go watch my brothers play, so it was nice to watch them. They won the Bean Pot, so it was pretty special for BU. But yeah, it's just I kept thinking about coming back. I felt like the break was too long, honestly.
All right, Lane Hutson didn't get enough of hockey even during the break. He thought the break was too long. God love him. Marty St. Louis. We'll end with this. Priorities here on in between now and the rest of the season.
Priorité pour qu'on est capable de compétitionner par le chef du résultat, c'est beaucoup notre jeu défensif. Fait que c'est sans la rondelle. Mais je parle pas dans notre zone. Je parle sur le forecheck. Comment qu'on track back. Comment qu'on arrive dans notre zone. T'sais. On arrive-tu vraiment pour se défendre? T'sais, ou on arrive puis on espère d'aller sur l'attaque. T'sais, fait que si on fait des bonnes décisions de ce côté-là, habituellement, tu es correct. T'sais, on peut se permettre des mauvaises décisions offensivement. Des mauvaises décisions offensivement off the puck, là, tu te feras pas mal. Tu vas scorer moins de buts, mais tu te feras pas mal. Fait que nous autres, c'est vraiment focusé là-dessus, d'arrêter de se faire mal, puis vraiment porter attention à nos actions défensives qui sont souvent bien loin de notre filet.
All right, so Marty St. Louis says priorities, we got to play a lot better defensive hockey, and we got to stop hurting ourselves. A lot of the pain that we suffer during games are self-inflicted. If we can stop hurting ourselves and start playing better defensive hockey, that's where our priority should be here in the next little while.
What he's got to do is just put up video of that 6-week stretch that they had where they were lights out good.
13-3-1.
Yeah, you know it, and so if he does that, and so I think there's a difference between trying to instill a belief in the team that if you play this way, that you can have success, as opposed to saying, listen, you did play this way, and here's what we did get. You can show strong examples of that. So I think for Marty to be able to help his players, it's not now trying to get them to do it. It's reminding them that when they do it, they can have success. And I think it was really, really, really key to that great stretch that they had. And so for Marty to see it, and for the players, well, I guess first thing, Marty instills it, the players do it. Now the players see it. That's what they got to get back to. And I totally agree with them. And, competing is also, he talked about tracking back, and he talked about forechecking, right? Like how quickly you forecheck and how quickly you track back and get into good defensive position, right? Well, now the opponent doesn't have as much open ice. We talked about the game Saturday night with Canada and the USA. There wasn't a lot of space out there. You know why there's not a lot of space out there, Tony? Because the players are working just as hard to get back in the space and take it away from your opponent as they are to try to get that space. Canadians did that. That's really good. Second thing, I just want to mention Lane Hutson. Lane Hutson showed up at the World Junior Tournament and watched his brother Cole win a gold medal. Then he goes down to Boston and he watches his former team, the Boston University Terriers, and his two brothers beat the crosstown rival Boston College Eagles to win the Beanpot. I would say that if the USA wants to win on Thursday night in Boston, maybe bring Lane Hutson there to watch, some of the game down there. Lane Hutson might be a good luck charm.
Well, you know what? I'll say this in the end. May the best team win, huh? May the best team win.
Well, I mean, Tony, you've watched hockey for a long time. And one of the beautiful things that I always love, I get goosebumps. I don't know if I told you this. When you do the countdown at the beginning of the show, and I get goosebumps listening to that. I get goosebumps to the comment, hearing Danny Gallivan and hearing, the play-by-play and everything, and the countdown and everything with it. And so in 1979, and the Montreal Canadiens players, you know it, I know it, they thought that they were vulnerable. The Boston Bruins thought they were the better team, and the Montreal Canadiens said they might have been. But when it got right down to it in that Game 7, Montreal knew what it took to win.
Lafleur moving rather gingerly behind the goal. He plays it up to Lafleur. Back to Lafleur, scores!
You know it, right? But honestly, I was at that game. I was at that Game 7. Really? I was right on the goal line when Lambert scored on the pass from Tremblay. Anyway, that's why I say at the beginning, all the pressure's on the USA. Yeah, you know what? Canada might look at them and go, yeah, they look like they have a better team than us. But until you beat the best, until you beat the winners and you beat the champs, you're not the better team. So I think that's why I go you say about the best team. Sometimes there's being the best team also means knowing what it takes to win. And
I'll say
Canada
this.
knows what it takes to win.
I'll say this. May the best team win. But
Yeah.
should Canada win, I'd really love one score line in particular.
What's that?
5-1. He wanted Canada to be 51. He got it.
I'm out. I have nothing more to add.
Thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon. Join the game, Craig Button.
Yeah.
All right, there you have it. Craig Button of TSN, of course, the director of scouting and their hockey analyst. Special thanks to everyone watching tonight. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple. It's our way of feeling the love. Follow us on all our social media platforms and all our social media channels. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's absolutely free. And once again, a 5-star review on Apple. It's our way of feeling the love. Team USA has been informed Quinn Hughes is not traveling here to Boston to join the team. He was not medically cleared. Sounds like Team USA looking at bringing in a couple of other players just as insurance because of illness going around. This from Pierre LeBrun. So there's your latest. Quinn Hughes, not medically cleared. He will not join Team USA. Enjoy the hockey game, everyone, tomorrow. It's got the makings of being a really, really fantastic hockey game. And Pierre Maguire and I will be on tomorrow night, not at 10 p.m., immediately following the hockey game. If it ends at 10:45, that's when we're on. If it ends at 11, that's when we're on. If it goes 3 hours of overtime and it ends at like 1 o'clock in the morning, that's when we're on. All right. So we'll talk to you again tomorrow night, immediately following the hockey game between Canada and the United States in the final of the Four Nations Faceoff. For Shane Gaumont and Master Control, thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Marinaro.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. Tibi, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.